live once again at the Baltimore Whitman Coin Expo, and we are joined by another very special guest. This guy was on our top 10 wanted list, so I'm really glad to have him. He is the founder and the CEO of Certified Acceptance Corporation. Would you please give a large coin show welcome to the legendary John Albanese?
Thank you for joining us today, John. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Right off the bat, I think that I want to get your take on the coin industry at the moment. I know you're the guy that has the finger on the pulse of everything. How do you feel like the market? Yeah, what's the market at right now? I know we're down slightly from COVID highs, and the market, gold's bullion's down a little bit, but looking around the room, I personally feel like we're still in a pretty strong market. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you really can't base on a coin show. We don't have the buzz that coin shows as we once did. A lot of that is because of technology. Like something like you're doing like now, for example.
Sure.
When I started the coin business, would have been you'd have to have ABC News do this. It was not possible, right?
Yeah.
So things have changed. And I mean, things are more now web-based, and people have their own eBay stores and coin stores online. So it's much different. The market is really, when you see the coin show and you see the activity, there's activity here. Most large dealers I know, many are not here because they're at their office and they're really busy.
Yep.
And they would love to come out here, but they're so busy at their office. I mean, I was at a customer's house last night, and he had read these things years ago about the demographics, and it's like Harley Davidson, the coin buyers aging out. But you know, he has children, he has grandchildren. He lays out his coins, and when you're looking at beautiful historic gold coins from the 1700s, like your 1790, 710, and things like that, I'm sorry, there's a natural desire and attraction for beautiful old gold coins.
Yeah.
We don't have that feeling about stamps. I don't have that feeling about things that are paper, but rare coins and gold and silver coins, there's something just natural about it.
Yeah, very much so.
It's very addicting. So the market, I think the market's as strong as I've seen it in a healthy way. You really can't compare it to COVID. I mean, COVID, don't forget, we had zero interest rates.
Yeah,
That's true. A lot of people had idle time. The government sent out checks to to most Americans. They had extra money. That was a blip, and but that's not sustainable.
Well, we were talking to John Feigenbaum earlier today about that very thing, and we thought that COVID actually gave a boost to the hobby just because of people having to be at home, people having to be locked up and doing things that you could do alone.
Sure. But you can't compare that market to, I mean, that just wasn't sustainable. This is more sustainable. This is healthy. The fact that bullion's gone down, I think, is, again, I mean, gold was 2,500, then it went to 2,700. It went up on air almost. And
yes.
To have it pull back, as you talk to anyone's involved in the stock market, any market, it's a healthy pullback. It's healthy to have things come back down to normal.
Sure.
They'll find buyers. Gold's not going anywhere. I mean, unless you can tell me that we're going to solve the deficit. I mean,
not anytime soon.
Not in my lifetime.
And whether Harris won or whether Trump won, I think 4 years from now, I think you can write it down. 4 years from today, the deficit's going to be $6 or $7 trillion higher or more. So that already on top of 30 trillion. I mean, how is that not bullish for gold? Right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I really do. I think that you and I actually had a phone conversation the other day, and you said something to me that was really interesting. You said that you're bullish on platinum.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because over the last 10 or 15 years, there's been this giant shift away from platinum towards things like palladium.
Right.
But the platinum market itself is a very interesting one to you, especially, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, platinum, as you know, platinum, the automakers went to platinum because palladium was much cheaper.
Right.
And they went to palladium. However, the majority of palladium is sourced through Russia. Not such a great thing.
Not right now.
I mean, platinum, not as reliable, but platinum is South Africa. It's also more diversified, but BASF just came up with a patent where they can substitute some platinum for palladium. So platinum is now increasing for catalytic converters. Not to mention, there is, Elon Musk, if you ever heard of him, he I think a year ago promised a hydrogen car in the future. Hydrogen as the new clean energy, maybe not here, but in Europe, hydrogen cells use like 7 or 8 times more platinum than a normal car. So they really use a lot of platinum.
There you go.
And not to mention, there is talk about, you've heard about the BRIC countries trying to get away from the dollar.
Sure.
There's issues there, but I've been told that they're stockpiling platinum as a reserve to add to their gold reserves, because it is 30 times rarer.
Right.
And another thing too is recently Costco now, you can now buy a 1 ounce platinum bar at Costco.
Oh, they have the platinum now. I know they had the gold and the
They just
silver for a
started.
long time,
and
but
it's 30 times rarer. So again, I mean, today you could sell an ounce of gold and you could buy 2.5 ounces of platinum. I'm not saying it'll go 1 to 1, but
Right.
I could see platinum having a sharp
Sure.
increase,
Sure.
especially if central banks start buying it to add to their gold reserves.
Well, it does kind of
Could be
ring
interesting.
truer of like the 90s, where it was, we used to watch, and when gold and platinum would cross, you'd dump,
Right,
get
right.
into the other, and then wait for them to cross again,
Right,
and dump,
right.
go back.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. Now, obviously, in the last 10 years, you've been kind of a driving force, I would say, in our industry. With the advent of the sticker, first of all, for CAC, that really caused the
It
grading
disrupted the
companies.
market.
Well, it didn't disrupt the market so much as it caused the other company, the grading companies, to understand that they had to be honest. They had to try to keep them honest, because I know from doing this, 20 years now, that 20 years ago coins were not graded like they are now at the other companies. And I don't want to disparage anyone, of course, but things do change. The grading standards have changed over the years, and I think that the sticker came along and said, "Hey guys, this is I think that this is a nice coin. I know this is why it's a nice coin, and not all your coins are going to get my sticker."
Yeah, I do think to it as well as far as the grading services go. Again, there's also different graders.
Sure,
right?
sure, certainly.
So when we started PCGS, there were certain graders that were veterans, and they're no longer there. So whenever a new grader's there, I don't care who you are, every grader has somewhat of a different standard.
Right.
I think many of them actually see the same thing, but they have different tolerances. So maybe
Makes sense.
I think that we see what they see. We're just less tolerant, and again, it's not as though we're trying to keep them honest, but there's really it's tough being a grading service, because you're really a referee, right?
Right.
And you're really refereeing between the pitcher and the batter. In our case, the submitter and the consumer. So basically, if we have a borderline call, and as you know, you have a coin store, you work at a coin shop, and we're one of the few industries where we actually buy your product back.
Yeah.
So you sell something for $1,000 and you buy it back maybe a year later for $900. I mean, so go out and buy utensils at Macy's, all right, and bring them back a year later.
See what they
and
say.
Try, or any
right.
other business. We want to. So the point is, what we hope to do for stickering and CAC grading is, we want to have a product to where when you sell them to your clients, and your client a year later comes back to sell them, you're a happy buyer.
Right.
Right. And that's where we draw the line, is saying, will this make the consumer happy? And if he ever wants to sell it, we want him to have an easier go at it.
Yeah. And
Is
that's
this a coin I want to own?
Right. Right.
well, and the other thing that makes it easier as well is you put bids out on
Sure.
all of your
Sure.
coins. Like, that is not something that the other companies do at all. Is there?
Yeah.
You have a number that you would pay for
Right.
every single coin that you put
Right.
your sticker
And-
or your
right.
grade on.
And I do that as a private enterprise. The new company
Sure.
no longer does that. I do as an enterprise. However, I have a lot of bids on CDN Exchange. I'm certain
Sure.
I'm the highest bidder. I don't buy anything.
I was going to say, I was going
But
to
I
ask
don't
how many coins
I
you
don't
buy.
anything. I mean, the other day I bought some coins because gold dropped $100, so I got caught on some generic big deal, But the fact is, I don't buy anything.
I didn't figure you bought very many,
No,
but
no.
But just the fact that you put the numbers out there.
It's part of our marketing, where we put our money where our mouth is,
Yeah.
and we're happy buyers.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, we had the old CAC. It's similar to owning a restaurant and eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. Like, we consume our own product.
Yeah.
And there's a difference, I think, when you could just print a grade, but if you're willing to write a check for it, it sort of means something.
It
Well, it
definitely
breeds
means
a
something.
transparency
Right,
that you
right,
just don't
right,
see with the
right.
others, and the fact that down the road you still have those buy offers.
Right.
it reinforces that you stand behind
It
what
is,
you.
and that's the glass half full, the glass half empty. I remember when we first started CAC. I guess I shouldn't. The editor of Quayrell called me, who I'm friends with, and she said, "John, I think if the FTC were involved in the business, I think they would probably shut you down because you're grading and buying coins." And I said, "Well, I never thought of that." So there's
doesn't
that.
every dealer do that? To
Well,
a point?
but there are people in the securities industry that would claim,
Conflict of
that there's
interest.
a conflict, and I'm saying, yeah, there is a conflict, but I think that conflict keeps us sharp. It makes the product more liquid, and I said, well, I said, listen, if the SEC came in to shut us down, I would explain to them why we have to do it. Maybe we would change their mind, but we never got shut down anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's and the other thing is now we've moved on to phase 2 or of the CAC experience, and that is CACG, the grading portion of it. How did that come about from stickering to actually deciding, you know what, we're just going to go with it for our company and our brand?
Well, it was really, for me, it was more for our company. It was really more of a long-term plan. It's a 30-year plan.
Sure.
Myself, I'm 65. When I was 63, I signed a 10-year contract with the new company, and I had told them that the stickering we're going to phase out in 10 years. What I would hate to do, because the stickering was sort of associated with me only, as opposed to the company. So the idea was to phase stickering out and build CACG, build a team of graders, which we're currently doing and happy with. And
Sure.
it was really a long-term plan as opposed to me retiring in 8 years and just closing it up. So have a long-term plan, a long-term transition, implementing strict grading standards.
Okay, but then that begs the question: how, after you're gone, is CACG going to continue without going the way of the other services?
Well, again, and that's why to keep everyone honest, including myself, including my finalizers in Virginia Beach, John Butler and Ron Javuski, keeps us all honest. Right now, if you notice, you'll see some CACG coins that have an L next to an L to the right side. That means legacy. That means from 2007, when we started CAC, to I don't know when we started CACG. What is it, 2000? Let's say 2020. From that time period, if it was stickered, it's a new holder. That was a legacy coin, right? And when John Butler and Ron Javuski, when the current team retires, there'll be a new group of finalizers, right? And there will be a different label at CACG, and so really Ron and John's legacy is now emblazoned in the current holder. And when the third generation comes along, and the reason why we're doing this is because, let's say hypothetically, fast forward 12 years, Ron's retired, I'm retired, John Butler's retired, and the new graders are loosey and goosey, right?
Yeah, sure.
And they're giving all sorts of grades. Well, with the new label, those coins start trading at big discounts. That's going to sort of be a black mark on them.
Kind of like PCI.
Yeah.
Well,
Because there's certain
right,
PCI holders that you can look at and they're accurately graded.
Right. Well, I'm sure they're right. But in this case, it keeps the new generation honest, saying if they don't hold the line,
Then
they're going to sell it at
everybody's
discount.
going to know that it
They're
was
gonna sell
their
at discount.
fault.
Right.
There's going to be a
Right.
clear packaging difference.
Right, and that company will fail.
Yes.
So
That's
we're-
great.
So that's what we have. And again, when they retire, there'll be another generation. So that's why we're doing it.
That's really is.
Again, and we have
That's really well thought out, though, because I mean
Well, yeah.
that's
Well, that was
that's
our
going to
original plan.
preserve
Right.
the actual integrity in people's minds of,
Right.
of the
Right.
company, because that's
Right.
you're selling something that is more of a feeling
Sure.
than anything else.
Sure. Again, we have a grading set, and we've abided by never subtracting. Like, we're going to add to it, but here's a grading set. We're going to keep adding to it, and the graders have to, when we hire new graders or get them freshened up in the morning, they go through the grading set, they calibrate the grading, and
I was just going to mention that I assume that you're just building more grading sets as time goes
Right,
on, and those
right.
are going to be kind of the core
sure.
of the grading, I believe.
Right.
And they're no matter what, they're going to kind of stay the
Right,
same.
right.
So we don't have to worry about the gradeflation. We don't
Sure,
have to worry
sure.
about that happening over
Right.
time.
Well, as long as the grading set stays the same,
Yeah.
grading
And-
should
and-
stay
and Of course, you
consistent.
always have nuances. There's always
Sure.
there are always those borderline coins. I mean, I remember I was in Virginia Beach maybe a few months ago, and we were, I could grade 800 to 1,000 coins comfortably in a day.
Sure.
I think one day I did 1,200 coins, And the next day, John Butler showed me 3 or 4 coins and said, "You called this a 64?" I'm like, "I did. Oh my God." What was I guess I was I was tired. I was in a hurry.
People have
but
limits.
the fact is, but that's why we have checks and balances. We have checkers, and I think, and there are borderline coins. I can't tell you that they can go. Some coins can go either way. Some coins, and I've always said, most coins kind of have 2 grades. Like if I had to explain it, I would say, oh, it's a 62 or 63. Depending on your philosophy, you could go. It would look. It's plausible. Some coins are plausible to have 2 grades, especially you get into like an Iowa Commem, an MS65. Someone shows it to me. Can this be a 66? I go, well, I guess. I don't know. I mean, there's a $5 difference.
Yeah.
An 84cc dollar, and I had one of our members argue about a coin, or complain, but it was at a 61 hold. He says this could be a 2. I said, I guess it could be, but I said it's a $5 difference. It doesn't. It's so we were looking.
It isn't even
what's
worth
the difference?
reholding.
Right. So what's the difference? But the point is, and I believe because I'm saying there's too many coins can go either way. That just tells me, which I believe to be true. I've always said it. Is that there are probably too many grades. Right? We're kind of splitting hairs in Mint State of 10 grades, and now we have pluses. We've got 20 grades just for 10 points.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's hard. It makes it tougher on the graders.
Yeah, we've got 2 for a lot of other grades.
Yeah.
And those are within, VF, for example.
Right.
Right.
VF goes from
VF's
20
crazy.
to 35.
Right. VF is nuts. And I always said there should be a coin that makes VF. There's a coin that's almost XF. That's 2, and there's a coin in the middle. But to have 2 in the middle, someone will say to me, "Is this a 25 or 30?" And I got to tell you, a lot of times I say, "I don't know."
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. Right. And
The most basic way I explained it to my son, who's 14 years old and is trying to pick all of this up, I said, forget the designation. I said, look at the coin and rate it on a scale from 0 to 70. Pick a number. Any of those numbers is fine, but pick a number. And then from there, look at your grading scale and decide how close you are and see how you do. And that's the best way to learn. It's the only way to learn is to just do it.
Yeah. And like I said, and again, when I was in coins as when I was younger, a teenager, in a store, there was uncirculated, and there was choice,
Gem.
and there was gem, and then there was superb. But and today, to this day, before I call a coin MS65, I still think, is this a gem? Is it a gem? Is it a gem?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got that big mark. Well, it's not a gem.
Is it a choice gem?
So we call it a 64, right?
Sure.
So it's to me, choice is 63. Right?
Yeah.
So
And everybody, when CACG first came out, I heard so many dealers that were just losing their minds that have not been doing this for a very long time. And I remember when I got my hands on the first few CACG holders, I was like, this takes me back 20 years. This takes me back to the old little white Annex holders. And this takes me back to the days when this was how coins were graded. And a lot of guys were just absolutely losing their minds because they thought, oh, they're being so strict, they're being so tough. No, this is just how things were graded.
You want it to be to a standard. That's the point.
And again, and I've always, I'm probably, I guess amongst the graders, I have one gentleman named Bill Wetzler who works for me. He's world class. He's a little tighter than I am. I think he's too tight. He thinks I'm too loose, but I'm considered to be too tight. But yet when I'm grading coins, I don't feel like, I'm not saying, I just don't feel like I'm tight at all.
Right.
I just feel
You
like
just feel natural.
To me, it's normal.
And you've graded.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this brings on my question next. So you have been and are considered to be one of the best graders in the hobby. What do you think helped you get to that level?
I think as a child, as a teenager, I was completely infatuated, obsessed with coins. And I looked at coins, I don't want to say 24/7. I thought about coins, I looked at coins. That's been all I did.
Right.
I was probably on the spectrum somewhere. And
we all are.
and I gotta tell you, like it just came as a natural. I think because I enjoyed it, it became a natural thing for me.
It's funny how everybody's stories are all so similar. When I was a kid, I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was
The thing is you're looking at something and it's luster and it makes a mark in your head and you're just like, okay, I kind of get it. And
Speaking of
everybody
which.
builds up their own way of doing it and their own thought. But some are definitely better at it than others.
Yeah.
And it's really experience. It always
Yeah.
keeps coming back to experience.
And I think if you enjoy it, that's what really makes it better. So, I mean, there are things I don't enjoy that I'm lousy at, you know? And like we know we have encyclopedic knowledge of coins, all of us do. We don't really realize it, but if you put me into like one of those auto parts stores behind the counter and there's 12,000 auto parts and I work there, I wouldn't know what I was doing. And that's why, like when we hire new employees at my office, it's always like, it takes them 3 or 4 months to become useful because like how is a soccer mom gonna know what a 20-cent piece is, right? Like it's completely bizarre, esoteric, and yet it takes a while to get acclimated.
We almost take it for granted that we know all these things about it. It's just common knowledge to us.
Right, with us it's, oh, come on, it's a 3-cent nickel. Give me a 3-cent nickel.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What are you talking about? Right, so we have to sort of, we're just used to our own nomenclature.
Yes.
That's not a nickel, that's a halftime.
Yeah.
Don't call it a penny.
Yeah.
Well, the mint does now.
So, kind of switch gears a little bit here. So we've talked about the original stickering. We've talked about CACG. What's next? Do you guys have anything kind of cooking right now that you want to talk about or can
that
talk
you
about?
can share.
Yeah.
Well, we've had there are 3 or 4 other segments that we're thinking of, and it's really. I mean, first of all, you don't do anything without an expert. So
Certainly.
If you have an expert, then you go forward. Right now, it will be a natural to do world coins.
Yeah.
Or to do paper money is probably the next thing that would be a natural.
And
but without the expert, we're not doing anything.
Certainly.
So we want to make sure that when we come out with a new product that we do it with the same integrity and consistency as our coin
And the
product.
bar has been set kind of high, so.
Yeah.
Right, we're not going to grow just for the sake of growing.
I can imagine it would be very difficult to find the U of paper money or the U of world coins or the
yeah, I mean,
Ronnie of world coins. I can imagine it would be very difficult.
Well, we are working on a few, so I think a lot of people are aligned with us in terms of our stance with the consumer. And I think in 2 years you'll see a few extra things under the hood.
Nice. I like that. Well, kind of circling back to a little bit that we talked about a minute ago. Last time I talked to Ron, he had kind of mentioned to me about the way that you guys go about making decisions. It's a lot of the times between you and him, I think, and maybe John as well. So you said you guys have never subtracted anything from the grading sets.
Correct.
And you're just
there were a few coins that developed PVC.
Oh well. Okay.
So we said, hey, let's try to remove it or whatever. But yeah,
Right.
nothing. We're not saying, hey, this was a 65 2 years ago and now it's not. Let's change it. No, we're not doing that. Right.
Okay. Well, and that was the one. I felt like last time I talked to him, one of the main talking points he came at me with was integrity, which I've known Ronnie for years. I ran around with his dad for a long time.
Yeah.
There's not too many people out there that have that kind of integrity, especially in this industry. And I think that having all of those kind of people under one roof is great, and I love it. And I think that you guys are really just absolutely changing the market, and I'd like to see the reaction from the market to the things that you guys are doing, which I have to say has been pretty noticeable for somebody like me that submits a lot of coins. When you guys made certain decisions to do certain things, the changes I saw at other companies were
I'm not aware of it.
pretty reactionary.
Yeah, I'm not really aware of that.
And I know, and that's kind of why I
I'm
wanted
just
to bring
doing
it
my
up.
job, and I'm in a bubble, and I'm not aware of what's
People are really
going on.
fickle, and they're funny about what they kind of gravitate towards and what they don't, and yet they have received everything that you've done as far as CAC gone, with just the highest respect, and that says a lot about what you're doing and how you're going about doing it.
I appreciate that.
Now the question is, can we put Mike in that big giant green CAC and
No,
let him
we
run
cannot.
around?
I
No?
don't think
We
he'll
cannot.
fit. I don't think he'll fit.
Thank you.
Okay, I tried.
Those days are over.
That's for a 26 waist.
Oh my!
You couldn't fit 2 of me in.
You were
Yeah.
in seventh grade. You could have fit.
My
in.
leg would not go through
Right,
there.
yeah.
So, well, John, I know you're busy, man. I want to
we
thank
really
you for
appreciate
hanging
taking
out
the
with
time.
us.
My pleasure. Yeah.
This was a
I
blast.
enjoy your podcast.
Really?
Thank
Well,
you.
we
Happy to be
enjoy
part of it.
we enjoy everything that you do, and
Right.
we hope we can have you back too.
Sure, of
Get a
course,
hold
yeah.
of you every
Maybe
once in a
an
while,
AMA
and
or
just
something like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Great seeing you.
We appreciate it.
John
Take care.
Albanese, everybody.
Good seeing you. Take care.